Gentlemen. There's a lot of love on this domestic podcast and at Ashton Gate, JB. A lot of love at Ashton
I like
Gate.
what you've done.
So much love.
So much love at Ashton Gate. And it's working, JB.
It is. I've got this horrible feeling Bristol are going to make the top 4, you know. It's horrible.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, we'd have to just celebrate that. Oh, we'd have to celebrate.
So there we go. That's one of the talking points on this podcast, which is about Grassroots, about domestic rugby. It's EggChasers. I'm Tim. That's JB.
Hello, Tim.
That's Phil.
Hello, Tim.
We're contact eggchasers@gmail.com on email. We are patreon.com/eggchasers if you want to support us. And there's a lot to talk about on this podcast. Premiership, domestic rugby. But I want to begin with following on from the end of the international podcast where we were teasing Super Saturday. So we could potentially be watching JB's last ever competitive league rugby match.
Yeah. And by the way, it's not something to be celebrated. I will be leaving this game under a cloud, like a lot of my teammates, like a lot of teammates who...
Really, teammates? Are there people you play with now at the moment who
There's
are...
loads of us going.
Wow.
Loads of us going.
Wow.
Like, it's not just one or two. I mean, everyone that I talk to across every club is like, yeah, this is probably our last season. This is probably our last season. There are clubs out there who are likely to fold. Not just teams, clubs who will just lose whole sections. So you've got your rugby club, you've got your various sections, and you've got teams within sections.
Wow.
There will be teams gone without a shadow of a doubt, and there will be sections gone. And I think that we'll see clubs now. He'll probably end up with a women's section and a kids section, and they might be able to get the occasional, men's team out. But no, it's a really, really serious business. Really serious.
Well, also, on Wednesday night, you've got your hustings
Yes.
as one of 4 candidates to be one of the 2 Lancashire Rugby Union councillors.
Yep, so fingers crossed for that one.
Well, good luck.
Hey, well, this time next week, you might be talking to Councilman Beardmore. Alternatively, I'm not... Well, we'll have to see. I'll put my best foot forward and see if it's good enough.
That's exciting. All those juicy expenses as well.
Yeah. I know.
Craig Morley, just on this topic, has emailed contact@eggchasers@gmail.com, and he said he went to the RFU tackle height consult...
it's not a consultation.
In quotations. In quotations, I went to the RFU tackle height quote marks consultation for his region at Chinner Rugby Club. Bill Sweeney was there. And he's given us so much great detail. But
yes, please.
I'm going to summarise it because time permitting. He said that this was. Let me jump to this point, and I can go backwards on this. The RFU consultation has a lot to be desired. Sweeney showed a complete lack of leadership, hiding in the corner of the room for much of the discussion, leaving his relatively junior team to take the flak. He must go. It was presented as a fait accompli.
Yep.
The decision is made, it's done, and the whole meeting was effectively a justification of the decision which has already been made.
Because they don't care. They passed this knowing exactly what it was going to be. You listen to what your councillors have to say about it. In our case, I believe both of them were very deceptive in how they phrased the questioning, how they tried to get... a consensus in the room by asking the wrong questions. They wanted to vote on the wrong thing, so they wouldn't admit to where the tackle height was going to be. Only that we must all agree that it's lower. That's not what they voted for, and that's not what was communicated.
This sort of backs that up, and this will float Phil's boat a little bit. He says, after questioning, it became clear the line... Oh, sorry. Bill Sweeney kicked off the discussion with a graphic noting the decision, quote, the decision has been made. The forum and consultation was around communication, i.e. they weren't going to reverse the decision.
Yes.
The meeting was open for questions from the floor before the RFU went through their agenda for the evening. The academic advising the RFU on the reduction of tackle height based on, quote, the science, was in attendance. After questioning, it became clear the lines and zones drawn in the diagram, which is attached, which I think a lot of people would have seen, were arbitrary.
Yep.
The researchers had categorised the body into different zones before collecting data. Clearly, this makes I've jumped ahead a bit here. Clearly, this makes a mockery of the scientific method. They should have collected the data and plotted it onto a body before categorising the body into zones or hotspots. Pushed on the point, the academic agreed that the risk of concussion from tackles reduced as you moved down from the shoulders and then rose again as you reached the hips. The rationale for not introducing an armpit and below tackle was based on evidence from Stellenbosch University 1-year study, England age grade rugby 1 year, and France trial 1 year. The research clearly not conducted over a long enough period to make a conclusion.
No, it's not a research question.
Yeah. Again, the science is seriously lacking. What all this showed to me is the RFU lack critical thinking and have followed, quote, the science presented to them by academics and do-gooders with an agenda. The RFU council members are complicit in this by not performing their role.
Oh, the RFU council members have got a lot more to account for than that, I would say. I mean, if we look at the RFU's performance over the last 5 years, we have seen a halving in player numbers, we've seen a record defeat at Twickenham, we have seen the return to rugby shambles after COVID. The shambles of COVID, to be frank.
Which was a shambles.
Yeah. We had 1 weekend of rugby in 2 years. And then when sports were allowed to be played, they thought, oh, God, we've got to get this return to rugby protocol done. You know, we're neglecting what every third team does every weekend, which is have guys play who've not played for 6 months. So what was the difference? Like, nothing they do makes sense.
Yeah.
And worse still, they preach to us from London in a way which makes... Well, the way they act is that they have all of the answers, and if only they would listen. If we look at Lancashire, Lancashire's got many clubs who are like over 100 years old. Maybe the RFU should be listening to Lancashire and institutions with literally a century's worth of knowledge. But they don't. They just keep on sending down this nonsense, and it's all waved through by the council. And at what point are they going to say, OK, well, we've not got more players, the national team's a mess, the domestic top league's a mess, we're about to absolutely destroy the game with this tackle height stuff, which we've put no thought into. The science is lacking, and to top it off, we'll get a RFU council that will just nod everything through. I mean, I think the council are as complicit as Bill Sweeney. I really do, which is why they need to change.
JB 2023.
Yeah.
Time for change.
I am looking for, if nothing else, on Wednesday, I'm just looking forward to putting them through the ringer as hard as I can for what they've already done. So we've got three candidates. One of them is the existing councilman, and he needs to account for the decisions that he has made, because I think, you know, if you just look at what the RFU have done, the council are meant to hold them to account. It's a pretty ropey start And
where is your
it's an
event?
LSH.
LSH on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very much looking forward to it. So, big weekend at Cheshire, Lancashire Counties ADM Level 7. The Giants of Tarleton.
The parish of Tarleton.
Giants of Tarleton played the Titans of LSH. And who do you think came out on top?
This is a bit of a tabletop clash.
First v third. Liverpool St Helens were top. I'll go for a home win.
Now, I honestly thought Tarleton were the best team that I've seen in this league. And they lost. They lost 14-3, I think. So then, what do you think that we did? We are second.
Big win. So this is to make up ground on the parish.
Yeah, we were... No, so we are second.
Yeah.
The parish are third. And
the parish are top, aren't they?
No, LSH are top.
Oh, sorry.
So LSH have got their 4 points. They've dropped the bonus point. We were 5 points behind, so they dropped the bonus point last week as well. So they've gone 6 points. So they're potentially 4 points ahead of us when all games are played. What did we do?
Big win. 80-point win.
Well, West Park St Helens showed up. I think their average age was 22. They had third teamers, second teamers, and a bunch of kids. And they beat us.
Oh, no.
They beat us. And they beat us.
JB.
Yeah, and they beat us with our best possible pack. Like, we did not have... there was not a single person in our club that we could have put in that pack to improve it. And they beat us. And there's no hiding from it. I thought they were excellent. I thought they were absolutely superb. So we could break the first tackle, we could sometimes break the second tackle, but they didn't... Sorry. They didn't stop. They just didn't stop.
That is heartbreaking.
We couldn't go... they did this, by the way, after they were 2 tries down within like 10 minutes. I thought we were going to beat them by about 50 points. And then they kicked their goals. We had a few errors. And then early in the second half, they got a interception try. And at that point, I think it was a case of their fly half was excellent. Just kicked the corners, worked out that our back three was not having the best of days. We couldn't get in the right areas, and then as the clock was ticking down, we got more frustrated. And then, I mean, in my mind, they had 3 areas where they were great. The togetherness of their pack, I thought their fly-half was exceptional, and their fullback dealt with everything. Whereas our fullback had a hard day. So that's
was it a bit like the footage of Percy Montgomery's worst day in the office.
It was
for your fullback.
not. I'm not going to say it was that bad because he wasn't that bad. He's a good player, but he was against a fly half who was having a very good day. A very good day. So that's it. That was basically the end of the dream.
So that's it. So it's not super. So now, Phil, we're basically mostly watching the rugby on the telly and just keeping an eye on the JB's match.
That's almost exactly what's happening.
Doesn't really matter now.
Yeah. I mean, look, if we win,
that's a shame.
We win a bonus point, and they lose their 2 remaining, which they're not going to. Well, they might do, but unlikely. I think we might. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, pretty devastated afterwards. But I'll tell you what, exciting for West Park. So I can only assume they've got their team selection wrong for the entire year. If that's their second team and their kids, and their average age is 22, they should be very excited to be training this week, next week, and if rugby was still in existence next season, they've got a hell of a core to work around.
So what you're saying is they should have got the kids in.
Yeah,
get the kids.
If they
in.
listened to
Always.
you, Tim,
Yeah.
they would have lost. They would have lost that game.
So what's the kick-off for your Talk H match?
1:30.
Okay. So we'll be able to.
We'll watch the first half of Italy-Scotland.
Yeah, I'll plan to get down for 12:30. We'll watch the first half of Italy-Scotland while you're warming up. Then we'll watch most of your game, and then we'll get back in the bar.
Yeah.
Now, how many? Just for admin, and so people don't make a unworthwhile journey. How many people? How many people does the Talk H Stadium hold?
Stadium itself, there'll be plenty of room in the stadium.
Yeah,
plenty of room. I mean,
thousands.
We can get thousands.
Yeah. That's okay.
If it's a nice day,
beautiful.
You've got the whole floodplain to go and have a picnic on.
Exactly.
Yes.
Can I just point this out? Right, I'm phenomenally uncomfortable with this whole event going on because the way this should be viewed, right, it's not dissimilar
like a funeral.
Like a wake.
Yeah, you can all wear black.
Me and Phil are wearing black.
Well, no. It's even worse than that. It should be viewed as like a toddler throwing his toys out the pram. So it's like me having a tantrum and everyone celebrating the tantrum, which is exactly not what I want. Exactly not what I want. It is not a celebration. I do not want to leave the game. I love this game. I love playing this game. But on the other hand, I can't wait for it to end. It's like there's just nothing to play for anymore. What is the point?
We might be in the bar quite a bit, Tim.
Yeah.
I've just checked the weather, and every single day for the next, this is 10 days.
Please don't say it's sunny.
Manchester, heavy rain.
Yes.
Heavy rain for the next 10 days.
Good. We'll be in the bar. See you in the bar.
Yeah,
Very
perfect.
good.
And let's go from sad matters then, JB, to love. Let's go from hate to love.
Well, of course.
Bristol Bears.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Aylesbury winning their final 3 games.
Yeah, fantastic Aylesbury. Good work. I haven't looked at. I'll have a look how my boys Marlow
And
got on.
old I can't say the name now. Old Wimbledonians.
Yeah.
Blooding a lot of youngsters this week and getting promoted. So pretty good stuff.
Sad news elsewhere, though.
Go on.
Sedgley
lost. To who?
Lost their first game of the season.
To who?
Tyndale.
Does that mean
away?
Are they still in the box
Away.
seat?
Yeah.
They're still in the box seat.
Still in the box seat. Because I think it's played the same games as Fylde, but are maybe 6 points ahead.
Yeah, get in. Local derby. Well, local derby. Marlow went to High Wycombe and trounced them.
Yeah, have that
Nice
High
lads.
Wycombe.
Nice lads. Good stuff. Good stuff, boys. Right. Bristol. We need to talk about Bristol, JB.
We do.
Because the Pat Lam has probably got a picture of you and with some of your quotes on the on his office wall.
Yeah.
You could be eating a massive slice of humble pie.
I hope not. I hope not.
62 points last week, 56 points this week.
The way that my rugby career is going at the moment, they're going to get into playoffs.
Wouldn't that be an amazing story and wonderful?
Oh, I just like to see teams do well.
So they've got a game in hand on 5th through to 2nd. They are currently
Lord.
They're 7 points off the playoffs, so 7 points behind Northampton, but with a game in hand.
And the teams that they play, as we established last week, are all the teams above them.
No, I mean, it wasn't hard to play all the teams above you last week for them. But yeah, it just shows how tight the Premiership is, and it's not a reflection of how good Bristol are, it's how tight the Premiership is.
The Rubber may meet the road next week away at Leicester. Then they are home to Sale. So the next 2 games are going to be massive for Bristol.
Yeah, look, if they can turn over Tigers and Sale back-to-back weeks, they probably deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yes, so just to emphasise this, away to Leicester, home to Sale, away to Exeter, home to Gloucester.
They're not easy fixtures, are they?
No, they're really not.
Yeah, I mean, Gloucester look like they're miles out of it now. They're not, though, are they?
What's happened? They're not, but what's happened?
Well, do you want to talk about Gloucester? Because I saw it. Or do you want to carry on talking about Bristol? I didn't really see that.
So I've not seen that. There's some handy stats, metres made and defenders beaten in that Bristol back line.
Go on.
As you would expect. Ibitoye, 77 metres made, 7 defenders beaten. Sir Charles, 87 metres made. Only 3 defenders beaten, but a couple of offloads.
Yeah.
But Semi, 97 metres made, 4 defenders beaten, 3 offloads.
World-class centre, isn't he, JB?
And a try.
I think that's just what happens when they score a lot of points. The Patrick Cliver of rugby.
Flat track bullies.
Flat track bullies.
Like, remember when you used to call Jamie Heaslip a flat track bully?
Was I wrong?
Maybe.
There's strong supporting arguments for it.
Unfortunately, I've not seen much of this game either because I was watching the other game, the Scotland-Ireland game.
Yeah. Well,
so well done, Bristol.
Yeah, well done.
Good team. Because other than having the third choice fly half, it's not a particularly weak and missing Don Brandt.
And Marchant.
Yeah. Northmore's a great player. He's not Marchant.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But you're right.
It's a strong Quinn's team.
Yeah.
I will say one nice thing about Bristol Bears. Actually, I've got loads of nice things to say about Bristol Bears, just not the head coach. I do think it's important that Bristol do well. Like, Bristol is the biggest rugby city. Like, standalone rugby city. Obviously, there's some teams in London, but I think it is important that we have a good Bristol team.
Leicester are side-eyeing you right now.
Yeah, but like, you want full Welford Roads, you want full wherever they play, Ashton Gate. You know, those are sort of clubs which you can build a real massive league around. So, you know,
and that's one club that's not going bust.
Yeah, that is a silver lining.
Yeah.
Who's all gone?
London Irish. I was just going to say them. Just while we're on impressive victories, London Irish are 5th and 2 points off the playoffs after giving Sale a beatdown.
Well, you know, London Irish, the team that I predicted to be 4th last year, might actually be 4th this year, which shows I've got all the timing decisions of the RFU.
Of Bill Sweeney,
yes. Bill Sweeney, yeah. Me and Bill Sweeney, very similar. But they can beat anyone. I mean, they could beat anyone last year, or at least they could draw with anyone last year. And this year, they've taken it a step further. When they turn it on, they are magnificent. They are absolutely magnificent. No small parts of the fact that they probably have one of the best fly-halves in the league who happens to be there all of the time. And that's a huge, huge thing.
Do you know who else they've got? As someone who England's back row are massively lacking. And
Tom Pearson.
Oh,
that's a boy that could stand up to some physicality.
Start him against Ireland.
Why not?
Yeah.
Get him in.
Start him in all 3 positions, 6, 7 and 8.
6, 7 and 8, yeah. You've got a few days. Clone him.
And they've got one of the best centres in the league, again, because he's available.
Ben Hard.
Every
Ben
game.
Hard, Janzi van Rensburg.
What a name.
Ben Hard.
I always thought he was the second best Janzi van Rensburg in the Premiership.
Yeah,
he's got the second best quads, but he's the best Janzi
He's the
van
best
Rensburg.
all-round player, yeah.
Yeah, Rohan Janzi van Rensburg is the biggest disappointment for me in Premiership history. Not because he was bad, because he was okay.
He was all right.
He was never...
Sam Burgess?
But when he was playing for the...
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Because we hyped him up so much.
Well, no, we just believed the press. We were young and naive then. We just believed what we were told.
Yeah, we just had a ticket for the hype train.
Yeah.
The hype train was not...
And he did look
we
so
weren't
good
driving
in that
the hype train.
vest.
Rohan Janzi van Rensburg, at age 21, looked like the best player on the planet.
Yeah,
he was unbelievable.
So he was in that Lions team that made it to the final of Super Rugby, and he was just... He's so potent and powerful.
He's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
And he got to Sale, and he was Archie's Burgers and all the rest of it. Rudy's Pizza.
He got in some really good shape in his second season. He goes, anyway, enough of a Sale player that last played 3 years ago.
So London Irish, great win.
It was a good Sale team that London Irish beat as well.
Yeah, Ford playing.
Ford, it's like first choice, except for Dan Dupree, who's now back and came off the bench. Tom Curry, obviously, and Ben Curry. But other than that, that's
strong Sale's
best team.
Was it Ford, Mills, and Sam James? No, Rob Dupree. Rob Dupree, there we go. Yeah. What were you thinking playing Rob Dupree at 13? It's London Irish of all teams.
Well, if he plays any more games at 13, just imagine how good he'll be at 10.
Yeah, that's a great point.
When George Ford inevitably goes back to England next week.
Yeah. Sale have got a few things to work on, haven't they? Like their emotion and also just giving Rob Dupree more games at 13 to make him a better 10.
Exactly.
So great win for London Irish, which
now a game,
makes it interesting.
That's two games that none of us have really seen. Let's talk about a game, or one of the two games that we have actually seen. I think a few of us have seen Friday night Northampton.
Let's do Tigers Gloucester.
And Tigers Gloucester, because I saw the first half of this, but not all of it.
I love this game. I absolutely loved it. So
first half, scoreless first half.
0-0.
Yeah.
First score was, I think, 58 minutes. So 0-0. I did not feel like a 0-0 game. Both teams were at each other's throats.
Well, Gloucester were parked on Leicester's line for half of the first half. The Tigers' defence was impressive.
Do you know when you hear a clever little turn of phrase? Like the one I like at the moment is surplus elites. So do you know all these people get made and say, well, it's going to get much worse in the next few weeks in Silicon Valley.
Yeah,
When Elon started getting rid of all the Twitter people, surplus elites.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. We need a phrase for like high periods of possession in the opposition 22 where you get no points, and that is like a game turner. If you watch that Gloucester performance, you think Gloucester are on top here, but you can actually feel the momentum draining from them. The longer they go without points, the worse it gets. And
it is the worse it gets because they then get afraid to take risks, so they get narrower and narrower and narrower, which played into Leicester's hands.
And the one thing which is really playing on their minds, in my opinion, I can't know this unless I ask the players, but they've got the countdown of the yellow card clock. So Tigers have got Guy Porter in the bin. This clock is running down. They're capping the line, and every time that they get repelled by Leicester, a tiny bit of them dies.
It was Potter, not Porter.
Sorry, Potter. Yeah,
for the yellow.
Yeah, and they tried everything. They went for the scrimmage. They kept on going for line-outs. They're great at line-outs. They're great. They've got the best scrum in the league. You know, they're good to go. For all they should have had 2 scores in that period. And they were turning down kicks. It just didn't go their way. And it was like watching a giant pressure cooker. And both teams were under severe pressure. And it's like, which one's going to break? And when one of them finally did break, that was it then. Their soul was destroyed. And they just conceded loads and loads of tries. But for the most of the game, these two were ridiculously even.
Pretty even. Yeah, in the first half it was. It was frustrating watching this as neutral for Gloucester not to get over despite all that pressure and territory. Not just territory, just camped on Leicester's line.
And they were breaking Leicester's defensive line in midfield relatively easily. Like Carrera started like an absolute train. So you had this lovely contrast between the Latin flair of Carreras, challenging the line, putting people through holes, and then the pragmatic Butch James 2.0.
Yes.
But he had some lovely touches. Like his little kick to the corner for Potter to catch. It was inch perfect. So, yeah, and the battle between the 2 eights was phenomenal. So Visa picking and going. Do you know what I think made the biggest difference?
Was it Ackerman at 8 for Gloucester?
Yeah. So Ackerman's hammering away. Visa's hammering away. I think the thing that made the big difference was the power off the bench of Henderson and in particular Martin. Martin just started running over lads.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that was it. As soon as the Tigers got on the front foot, game over.
Good win. That is a good win for Tigers away.
So who was disappointing in this game? Albert Tuasui. So he came
off the bench.
Did okay for the first 10 minutes. But as soon as he started making one mistake, his mistakes seemed to compound in his mind. So then he starts dropping the ball, he just becomes ineffective. Now, if you get him on a good day, he's devastating.
Yeah.
He is a game...
Hell of a carrier.
Those two subs, Martin Henderson, and then the
Tuisue.
one, those are the two which could have gone either way. It just went Leicester's way today.
Another game which followed a similar pattern. It was 5-5 at half-time at Sandy Park between Exeter and Newcastle, and then just looking, it was... then 19 unanswered points in the second half for Exeter Chiefs, and 3 tries.
Yeah, Noel and Simmons scoring tries.
Yeah.
But I've only seen the highlights of this. Again, Exeter struggling. They're not the team they were a few years ago.
No, they're not.
Whether it's more long-term and systemic, whether it's part of a rebuild, whether the game has changed and they can't keep bludgeoning their way forward, who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, so I was talking to someone who knows his stuff about Exeter, and just some of their recent signings haven't really come through. So a few years ago, everyone that they signed was just dynamite. Absolutely everyone. But they've signed Sean O'Brien, the other one, and
The centre.
Yeah, and O'Loughlin would be another one who just have not made an impact.
The bit that they're missing is a fly half. So they've got, obviously, Joe Simmons, who has been playing second fiddle to Harvey Skinner, who every time I watch him, I'm just unconvinced by Harvey Skinner. And Joe Simmons was the perfect fly half for the way they played when things were going well. Because he nothing flash, but he could kick stick and kick the corners. And that's all they need. That's all they needed at that moment in time. Now, it is like they need something more.
Well, back in the day, everybody that they played did well.
Yeah.
Like, how many guys?
Even when they're third team with Dollars playing outside centre and they hammered Bristol with Semi Randrander putting a bin by Dollars.
Yeah, so if you look at, even the guys who are now household names you think are big names, like even they were unknown when they came in Exeter. Everything they touched.
Harry Williams from Jersey.
Harry Williams,
for example.
Jack Knoll, Henry Slade,
Big Dave Ewers.
Big Dave. No one knew who these.
The Simmons boys.
No one knew. Well, look at the scrum halves, Maunder and Townsend, and nobody knew who these lads were. And they
Johnny Hill.
Absolutely, yeah.
Johnny Hill. Steenson.
Where did Johnny Hill come from?
Gloucester.
Was he starting? But he wasn't playing there.
No, he never did anything at Gloucester. He is basically an Exeter product. But just in case there's some Norse out there who wants to, know.
So that's just like incredible, very good talent ID. But now they're doing the talent ID on a much smaller budget.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I wonder what's in the Exeter Academy which are going to bring through, because a load of those guys we named were Exeter Academy, and yeah, they might have a small budget, but a smaller budget. But you look at people like Woodburn and Devoto. They got those lads pretty cheap from Bath because they didn't want them. Or what's his name, the captain, Yendall. They got him from Cardiff University. How hard can that be?
They were getting players from Cardiff universities before it was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So.
Well, they've got a few good players coming through that were in that Premiership Rugby Cup. That lad from that winger from, I think he's Welsh, winger from Wasps, Faye Waboso.
What is it about
wicked.
Welsh lads going to Exeter? What do they know about the Welsh system?
Yeah,
seems to be like their new hunting ground.
Undervalued assets.
And Pat Schickling's gone from being like England's answer at tight head to can't get anywhere near Exeter's first team.
Is that because he's not qualified to play for England?
Well, that's why he's not England's answer at tight head till after the World Cup, but it doesn't explain why he's not even playing for Sale anymore.
Now, if England were called, for instance...
for Exeter anymore.
Yeah, if England were called something like, I don't know, Spain, do you think that it'd have bigger consequences?
He didn't actually play for England, did he?
Oh, did he not?
He just travelled.
He trained.
I thought he played. Does he not have a cap?
No.
I don't think he does.
If he did play, it would have been in a non-cap match, maybe a Barbars game or something game? Like. No, he definitely hasn't played in a cap game.
I have got a feeling.
I will check while
I'm pretty sure it all came to light before he actually played.
He definitely. I'm sure he travelled.
He was in the training squad.
He travelled to Australia.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he's played. And it should cost England a World Cup spot. It's only fair.
It wouldn't really matter, to be honest. No, that would actually...
Interesting.
Yeah.
He did play...
Knew it!
In the Barbars uncapped game.
There you go.
There you go. No harm, no foul.
Yeah. All the same.
And the final game we haven't yet mentioned in the Gallagher Premiership, Northampton put Bath to the sword.
Yes.
I saw the first half of this.
This, so two teams that can run the ball, although a lot of the game was in relatively bad conditions, so a lot of the tries came from driving mauls, which ultimately Northampton did better than Bath.
I saw... Oh, I didn't see that try at all. I said, this is a lie, because somebody knocked it on. There was an incredible bit of play from Northampton for the opening try. Which
was disallowed.
Try. And the Matt Gallagher try was okay, but it wasn't the greatest try of all time.
Yeah, it was all right.
The opening one. No, de Glanville.
De Glanville. Oh, yeah, little interplay down the right-hand side.
Yeah. Yeah, it just confirms that Northampton can score a lot of points and Bath aren't very good.
And Tom de Glanville, some people think he was injured. He was actually just not prepared to play until his hair was perfectly grown out and got through that annoying mid-length period. Lovely locks he's got.
Yeah. Not really much to say, is there, about Bath?
No, it was a poor quality game.
Yeah, it was a disappointing game. Bath are just not that good.
But you look at their team sheet and Bath aren't surprisingly not good. But
yeah,
the trope with Bath, which we've dealt with this in previous podcasts, the trope with Bath is they've got so many great players. How are they not much better? They don't have so many great players.
They really don't anymore.
No.
Maybe that was the problem. Like, you've got all the players, but they were playing in the wrong format. So instead of keeping the players and changing the format, they kept the format and changed the players.
Yeah.
Look at their bench, though. So a few years ago, Josh McNally was tearing up trees. Ben Spencer's on big money, I'd imagine, on the bench.
No, Owen Farrell hates him.
Oh, that is true. Will Spencer was meant to be the answer to all of Leicester Tigers' physicality problems on the bench.
Incorrect.
I don't know who the rest of them are, really. Yeah, Bath are a terribly constructed team. It's going to take a long time to turn around Bath.
Yeah, is Van Gran the man?
I'm not sure anyone is a man for a long while yet.
Finn Russell will sort it out. Finn Russell's the man.
Russell.
Just let him.
Is the man.
Give him the whole team.
Finn Russell is the piece of the puzzle that you need last, not first. I can't stress this. And I mean, he must be paid so much because imagine him looking at that team sheet like, what do I do with this? And mind you, it's like playing for Scotland, I guess.
No, come on. Finn Russell, Max Ajomo, Ollie Lawrence.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now you're talking. Will Muir when he gets back.
Yeah, but they need. You know what they need?
I know. I just say this. It's just ballers.
They need Etzebeth actually, do you know what? They don't need Etzebeth. That's a stupid thing to say. Because Sale tried it with Lou Diaga and we saw him 7 times or something. Like occasionally amazing, but it doesn't win you anything. I don't think Lou Diaga was maybe he's responsible for winning one game. For £400,000, they got one game out of him. That's about it. So they need people like Harry Wells. That's who you need, or the other Visa who plays at Sale. Johnny Hill. Johnny Hill's been a great signing.
Yeah, Hill is a great signing, especially since he's been dropped from England.
Yeah,
so he's actually available.
He's doing very well. That's the sort of signing that they need at Bath.
Yeah. Schickling did tour to Australia, but did not play. Do you know who the two tight head props that played all 3 tests against Australia were?
Sinclair must be one of them.
No, he was rested.
Will Stewart.
He dropped.
Will Stewart and Trevor Davison?
No.
Will Stewart.
That's a very left field one, Trevor Davison.
No, he's been capped.
Yeah.
Will Collier?
No, although he started in the Barbars game.
Not Harry Williams.
Not Harry Williams.
Hold on. Who am I?
Joe Hayes.
Joe Hayes.
Correct. Yes.
I like Joe Hayes.
Needs a bit more experience.
Problem is, I'm saying I like Joe Hayes. From now on, before you say you like a prop, just think about the French props.
Yeah.
Temper your...
Do you like him as much as any of the first 5 on either side French props?
Who are the first 5 French tight heads? Do you like them more? Do you like him?
And we've seen them all
5?
in this Six Nations Championship.
Yeah. And we've not even seen Demba Bamba in this Six Nations Championship.
Is he? Demba Bamba is the benchmark. Are you above or below Demba Bamba?
And Joe Hayes is below
Demba Bamba.
Yes.
There's an argument that Carl Sinclair aside, who has been better, every tighthead prop is below Demba Bamba.
Oh, 100% he is.
Every English one.
English one.
Yes.
Carl Sinclair blows hot and cold, probably worse. I mean, sometimes he is very, very, very good. Very good. Other times he's an absolute nightmare, and you just don't know what you're going to get with him.
So if you had a World Cup spot in your squad and you could pick Demba Bamba or Carl Sinclair, who are you picking?
Demba Bamba.
So Carl Sinclair on that basis is below France's fifth choice tighthead prop.
Yeah, I guess. But I will say this: Carl Sinclair on his day is above him. Mm-hmm. But maybe you want a bit more consistency.
Yeah, is that like the 1 game in 5? Ben Youngs is the best scrum half in the world.
Yes, it is. It's very similar.
And
to
that
the
1
other
game in
four
5 is usually against Australia.
Yeah, and unfortunately, on that day, Carl Sinclair's the worst prop in the world. So they balance themselves out really nicely.
Yin and yang.
Yeah.
All right, how about this then? Grassroots.
Sorry, can I just talk about tyre props and something which I thought about the last podcast and I never mentioned it. England's player problems. Why do we have no players at the moment? Do you think it's because so many coaches in the development sphere just think about themselves? They constantly navel gaze about everything, and they just don't. They're always talking about development and fun, and they're tickling their own ego rather than actually getting on with the business of developing players. So I just see so many. If you go on Twitter, there's like a coaching Twitter, and they just can't help but talk about themselves. That's all they talk about, and it's affected all the private schools, and they just aren't producing the players that they need.
But I understand that is a problem at a level of rugby coaching. Is it a problem at Premiership level? Or is it the fact that they're getting no ammunition?
Yeah, where are these kids coming from?
Well, that isn't that I can pass out that. It doesn't mean that the coaches are thinking of themselves, but I would say that rugby has an issue with it's getting played in fewer.
No, it's this sort of like this professional coach complex,
right?
And it's really hard to describe, but they constantly are arguing among themselves about what is best for kids, what should be a session, should it be fun, here's some groovy new way to ask questions. And they just get so lost within their own cleverness. I think they lose sight of the fact that they're there to play rugby. No, we're going to play a version of the ball which involves a tennis ball and no scoring, and it's going to be about personal development for 8 hours, and we're just going to have fun. And somehow that will translate into rugby. And actually, they're not playing rugby. And anyone who does dare to play rugby is scolded. And they'll say things like, well, do you not think you need to... No, that's right. If you ask questions as a parent or someone like that, they'll say things like, do you not think that you need to be more informed? Or do you not think you should... this is actually something a famous sports scientist said to me. Can you just show some deference to people that work in the area, please? Like, no, I can't, because you're all mostly rubbish. I love that.
That is very deferential of you, Jimmy.
Yeah. Can you please show some deference? Not. This is why you should show some deference. We work here. We're experts. Show some deference.
Speaking of English tighthead props, the graveyard for talented young English tighthead props, particularly
Northampton Saints,
has been Northampton Saints. Yeah. They actually scrimmaged pretty well on Friday.
Did, yeah.
And I thought Alfie Petch against Benno Abano, who Benno Abano he scrimmaged really well against, was it Bristol?
Yeah, when he came back.
Yeah, or it might have been a different game. But yeah, I thought Northampton scrum actually went remarkably. Both Paul Hill and Petch did well in that.
Is there anyone that we're missing out? England tighthead, like, is it like a Jake Woolmore or a...
If Fraser Balmain hadn't got injured, I'd have been calling for him to be in the England squad.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a bad shout.
Jamal
Ford Robinson, yeah, get him in.
Yeah.
Paul Hill.
Nick Shonnett,
yeah.
He scrimmaged well against Saracens last weekend.
I'm going to make a list of all the English tightheads. There must be so many more than we're thinking of.
They're all below the Bamba line.
The Bamba line.
Yes.
But they might not be.
Will Collier?
They might not be if you give them a chance. So much like West Park St Helens showed us on the weekend, if you give lads a chance, you don't know what they will do.
And this is...
Why don't we just get an England game every weekend then and give everyone a chance?
Yeah. There was something to that. Because we're in a position where, as we spoke about on the last pod, the 4 scrum halves who are the talented, up and coming, they should be the future.
Randall Quirk, JVP Mitchell.
are not the future because none of them have ever played for England because Eddie Jones retained Ben Youngs indefinitely.
Would Francis be playing for England if he was true to his nationality?
Tommy Donny.
No,
Tommy
he wouldn't.
Donny.
He wouldn't.
I think you're right, he wouldn't.
And that's kind of the point, isn't it? Like, you give someone an opportunity. What would Chris Harris be playing for England?
No.
Nope.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, like,
Lion.
You know, what? So, yeah. Someone in there will be good.
But then it's the opportunity. So, and this is the England problem. This is my Ferrari's clutch is too heavy problem. That Thomas Francis, if he'd have got the opportunity at England, he only would have played 3 games, and then you never would have seen him again. Yeah. But it's only the fact that he's managed to amass 50 caps for Wales that meant he got to the level.
He wasn't great in the first 3 of them, let's be honest, was he?
First
30?
30, yeah.
First 30, yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly that.
Tackles none, runs none.
I mean, his stats, I often do look up. He makes, I bet his total meters he's made across 50 plus caps. I bet it's less than 100 metres in 50 games.
A guy that I really like personally, really lovely bloke, who I've never heard of ever again, because he went back to Wales, he could play tight head, is Will Griff-John. Like, he went through a stage of not missing a tackle for, I think, like 3 months. He did not miss a tackle. And Wales like, yeah, definitely come back to Cardiff Blues, you'll definitely get a shout. I have no idea if he got his cap or not. And that was him. I've never heard of him since. I've literally no idea if he plays or if he's still at Cardiff. I've got no idea.
Cardiff and Northampton, tight head prop graveyard. On the Grassroots Matters, got an email here from Aaron. Nice one, Aaron. Contact EggChasers@gmail.com.
Aaron.
Love the pod, blah. This weekend, Plymouth Albion beat top-of-the-table National Division 1 leaders, the Rams.
Get it? Did they? That's massive.
27-24 in an awesome game. It was a challenging and emotional game for all involved. Albion won by holding up a maul in the final play on our 5-metre line, so Aaron's a Rams fan. The context of the game was special, focusing on a men's day out to help blokes discover old and new social bonds. He's given us a link to the charity, sounds cool. They had a special kit for the occasion. Plymouth, and this is the point you made, Plymouth showed how to grow the game. I'd appreciate if you could let me know what you think on this. Top down or bottom up in terms of how to approach people to rugby. He was obviously impressed by Plymouth Albion, what they were doing.
So, Albion are interesting. I don't know if you noticed, but the guy who does their commercials is
Chris Bentley.
Chris Bentley.
Bentos.
Who I speak to most Fridays.
Who was a professional rugby player and has always been a professional level concept 2 rower.
Yeah. And can still hang power snatch on like 80 kilograms, which is ridiculous.
Hang power snatch?
Snatch.
What?
Snatch. And he's like...
I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh, of course it's a thing, but like...
Of course it's a thing. Apparently you can rep for 80. I was like, what? That's seriously heavy.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, I could do, I don't know...
79.
79.9.
26 or something like that. You know, on a good day. On a good day. No, that's serious business. Serious business. Yeah, so I talk about Albion fairly frequently. So yeah, it's good to that's a remarkable win, actually. So the top 3 in that division are Rams, Sale FC, and I think it is Cambridge, with Roslyn Park somewhere in that mix. Now, the word on the street is Roslyn Park like to get so far, but they don't want to get battered by championship teams. So, like, yeah, we'll probably hold off now, and they'll probably beat everyone till the end of the season because they're not going to go up. So, Cambridge, Sale, and Rams meant to be a level ahead of everyone else. So that's a hell of a win.
It's mad. Like Rams, I used to play them when I was at Newbury. They were a little club with an old clubhouse, Reading Indians they used to be called.
I've got a feeling
they've really done a good job there.
I've got a feeling that they have something like 22 teams.
Wow.
They've got a huge amount of teams. I'm sure they run a 4th team and all sorts. I don't actually know, so I'll have to find out about that. I'm sure they've got thriving sections at all sorts.
What do you think in terms of growing the game, quote unquote? Bottom up, top down?
Bottom up.
Having a great international England rugby team as the way to attract youngsters to the game, and then or bottom up, growing the game in your community. I'm minded to think that quite often the easy answer everyone thinks about is, I think the obviously the answer is both. I think in an ideal world, rugby would be freely accessible on a commercial TV channel, free to air.
Yeah. You want diversity of clubs, not diversity in clubs, very, very different, but diversity of clubs. You want clubs that serve their local community, and the worst situation you can have, right, is a bottom-up approach with a top-down strategy. And that is exactly what the RFU are trying to do. So they're like, oh, look, here's a template of how a club should be. Register your players. Why don't you have a women's section? Why don't you have this section? Why don't you have... Because maybe those sections in that club are not particularly important.
The top-down GMS system, like I'm sure if anyone's got a kid in a rugby club or as a member, the system of registering yourself as a player, which you have to redo every single season, is... We had one lad who couldn't play for 3 weeks because this GMS system just couldn't register him, and so legally we weren't...
Yeah, the GMS system's a disaster.
It is a disaster.
Another thing that the council nodded through. Cheers, lads. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, so for me, it's definitely bottom up, because you've got to get people into a club. You've got to get people excited to go and watch it. It's got to appeal to your local community. I always say this, but Didsbury as a club would be a disaster in Oldham. And probably Oldham would be a disaster if it was in Didsbury. You've got to have clubs which represent the community.
Yeah, but you need...
And that can't come from Twickenham because they have no idea what they're doing.
But equally, if at the same time you had international and Premiership rugby all on, let's say, ITV or on whatever, a Netflix version, and you had it all available, and you had things like good Drive to Survive type documentaries. It
certainly can't harm, can it?
It can't harm it, and the two together as a pincer action is the way to go. A really good place to take in the people that are attracted to the game by the top down model. It's not an either.
I also don't think it's either or. I don't think it's like if it's top down, you can't do bottom up. And if it's bottom up, you can't do top down.
However, what I will say is, if you have the top down, so you get the appetite by having, say, a brilliant national team or a great Premiership that's really attracts people. If you have the appetite for it, and then they go to, as you say, a club which does not reflect the area, which is just a poor product, then that enthusiasm just dissipates away.
Dwindles.
Whereas, so if I had to pick one or the other, I'd go bottom up.
100%. But luckily, we don't have to pick one or the other.
We don't have to pick one or the other, especially if we find people into positions of influence.
Correct, Tim Cocker. Correct.
To end this pod, I've just looked up Thomas Francis's stats for this championship.
Yeah,
there's been 4 Wales games. He's only played 3 of them because of the Gatland swings. So he's had ball in hand 7 times. Do you want to guess how many metres made, offloads, defenders beaten,
meters
and clean
made.
break?
0 defenders beaten or clean breaks. I'm going to go for 9 metres.
How do you make 9 metres of
and
defender?
And 0 offloads.
Maybe soft passive defence or some stuff.
Yeah, soak tackles.
Yeah. Okay, how many carries?
So I'm going 0, 0, 0,
So
9 metres.
So he's had ball in hand 7 times.
Right, 7 metres.
7 metres, average of 1. So I can tell you, of those 7, he has passed twice.
Oh, nice.
Good.
Which gives him 5 carries. Of those 5 carries, no offloads, correct. 0 defenders beaten, and a grand total of 0 metres made.
Wow.
So, I
love Donny Tommy.
So he's played 69 tests as well for Wales now. So
wow.
I think so. I'd be interested to see this all played through. I'm not
Thomas
sure.
Francis could get to a ton.
I'm not sure he
Isn't
will.
that incredible?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure in 69 tests he will have made more than 100 metres with ball in hand in those 69 tests.
Aldrich does that in an afternoon.
Against the English.
Wow. But what he does well.
He's phenomenal. Yeah, and this is the thing. This is the point that you can have your tight head prop do miss passes out the back and do all of this stuff and running 30-yard tries. If they can't hold up a scrum, They are irrelevant. They should not be playing international as a tight head prop, and he is an international tight head prop because he can do it.
Trevor Davidson was, until I think he was quite a late comer to professional rugby, and he was like a bricklayer or something like that, wasn't he? He was like that's the kind of guy I want starting for England against France. Someone who's done a proper day's work. And
there is something to that, Like, there is something to getting a Gary Graham who's going to be an electrician in a nuclear plant, or whoever else it is, because the appreciation to be there must be so much greater. So much greater. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with being an electrician, but when you've had a real job, like
they learn more than most rugby players.
Yeah, well, that's true. To take a pay cut from being an electrician in a plant
for the love of the game,
for the love of the game is quite something. Like some of these academy guys, I just don't think they know that how lucky that they are.
Liam Williams,
scaffolder.
Yeah,
so private school into academy, never played club rugby, now getting world class coaching, and they look like great rugby players, and often they are, but I wonder if they have that extra 5 or 10% that you need.
Just to finish the podcast, do you know who would be above the Bamba line?
Ooh, no.
Carl Ferns.
Carl Ferns.
Oh,
yeah,
now
exactly.
you're talking. Starting tight head prop for the World Cup final when England make it this year.
Yeah. And we shifted Andrew Sheridan.
Yeah.
Shift Carl Ferns. There's still time. Fernsy, what are you doing? Get it sorted. There's a play. If I were Carl Ferns, I'd have a crack if I were Carl Ferns. What's he got to lose?
Add 5 years to his career.
Yeah. That's a lot of cash. Doesn't need it, though.
Are there any fixtures next week? English Premiership fixtures?
I hope not, but I feel there might be.
No,
there
are not.
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks time. So that's good.
Yeah, good.
We can end this pod.
We can focus. Yeah, let's end this pod. Thank you for listening. Yeah, whatever.